Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Alex Gabriel and I am a sales rep here at Heartland, and the two brands that I represent are Big Country and Elkridge, right? You may have one of these brands, you may have both of these brands. But with that being said, for those of you whom I have not yet met, it's nice to meet you. I'm sure I'll see you soon. For those of you whom I have met, it's good to see you again. One thing that I want to do in 2023 is to provide as much value as possible to you guys. And what I want to try and do is, aside from provide value as far as what my coaches have, I want to provide value to you to help facilitate sales. So what I've come up with and what I want to do is I want to share an objection of the week with you, right? So what I've done is I've reached out to salespeople across the country who have close relationships with, who I know are really successful. And I've asked them, hey, what objections are you currently getting most commonly, and what objections are the toughest to overcome? After I gather those, we come up with solutions. We come up with answers as to how we can overcome these objections. So I'm going to try and do this on a weekly or a bi-weekly basis to provide as much value as possible. Let's get some of these units sold. All right, so our first objection of the year is interest rates, right? We all know that interest rates have risen, something that's sort of out of our control, and it's sort of omnipresent, right? Everywhere we go, everywhere we look, there's something that's going to be affecting our sales, right? So let's say we're looking at a coach, we'll say it's a luxury fifth wheel, and Mr. and Mrs. Customer have just said, hey, interest rates, they're kind of scaring us. I don't really know if we can make this purchase, right? So this could be a potential rebuttal to that objection, right? Mr. and Mrs. Customer, I understand that interest rates are higher than before, and that's something that's, for the most part, out of our control, right? However, did you know that on loans for trailers over $60,000, you can extend the payment out much, much further, right? Some cases up to 180 months or potentially more, right? Check with your bank and their parameters, and that could lower your monthly payment by X, right? Because we know for the most part, there are a lot of customers who are simply concerned about that monthly payment, right? So if we do it again, right, we're overcoming objection of interest rates. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, I understand interest rates are higher, and that's something that's out of our control. However, did you know that on loans over $60,000 for trailers, you can extend the payment out by X amount of months, which would lower your monthly payment by X, right? If you're looking at a used unit that doesn't have as high of a price tag, or if you're looking at, maybe it's a travel trailer at a much lower price, we're talking about two different ball games. So this is a strategy that you can use when you're in that luxury fifth wheel market, right? Now, we have another potential rebuttal to the situation as well. Let's say you've covered, extending the mortgage out, the loan out, I should say. And let's say, you've talked about how that would lower the monthly payment, but they're still a little concerned with interest rates, right? We could try another route. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, ultimately, you're going to be buying an experience. Whether this experience is camping with your kids, your grandkids, your spouse, your dogs, if you're living here, etc., right? Ultimately, when you're buying this coach, you're buying an experience, right? So let's just say with these increased interest rates, we're looking at an extra $150 to $200 a month, right? And obviously that could potentially be on the higher side, but just so we have some values to look at, which ultimately is one night stay in a hotel. So, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, let me ask you, would you rather spend that $150 or $200 with your family on something that you own and that you can spend a lot of time in, or would you rather just spend that $150 to $200 in a generic hotel, right? The answer to me is easy, right? But when you ask a question like that, it starts thinking about, and the customer said, I would rather be in my coach and have the comforts, my creature comforts, whatever it may be. Guys, I hope this is helpful. If you have an objection that you would like highlighted, please shoot me an email, and I'll do some brainstorming to try and get you an answer. If you have a better rebuttal to the objection that I've provided today, send that as well, and I'll highlight that to start next week's content as well. Again, thank you guys so much. If you have any questions, if you have any other needs aside from what we've provided here today, do not hesitate to reach out via email, call, text, whatever. I'm happy to help. And hey, Happy New Year. Let's crush it this year in 2023. And again, hope this was helpful.